The Jersey Swap podcast is sponsored by Apollo Home. Apollo Home wants to remind you that during this weird in between season of summer and fall, now is the perfect time to get your HVAC system checked out before the winter weather is here. We're bringing back the $29 coupon for CST listeners for your preseason furnace tune-up. And as always, keep them in mind for any electrical or plumbing needs. Give them a call, send them a text, or schedule online at apollohome.com. Folks, welcome to the Jersey Swap podcast. Your FC Cincinnati squad may be barely breathing for the Supporter Shield run, but they may still have a lifeline to it. The same cannot be said for our next opponent. Our final regular season away trip takes us to Sports Illustrated Stadium. I'm not going to get used to saying that anytime soon. We'll be taking on the New York Red Bulls in our final away tilt of the regular season. It's also weird for me to say that Red Bulls postseason hopes are officially kaput. Chicago's win last night against Miami leaves the Red Bulls out of the playoffs for the first time since 2009. So where do the Red Bulls go from here? We have the host of the Seeing Red podcast, Mark Fishkin, and owner of the most picturesque background in soccer broadcasting, to join us and talk about the Red Bulls. We finally get to see it on video too. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mark Fishkin. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I've had both of my teams eliminated from playoff contention in the last 72 hours, that being the Mets and the Red Bulls. So I'm in a great mood. Let's talk. Yes.
I mean, Cincinnati probably right now are like, they're looking at the Reds, they're looking at the Bengals, and it's like they're eliminated too. They have no real future in stock, but FC Cincinnati, we'll see how far we can at least carry that baton. How have you been since the last time we talked to you?
It's been a year for sure. I think we're all trying to breathe in, breathe out, and endure every day with what Americans are living through. And
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that for right now. But it's good to have you back.
Thanks.
I think is it the first time we've had you back since they changed the name to Sports Illustrated Stadium?
Yeah, that was the start of this year.
Yeah.
So
is it weird to call it that? I mean,
there's 100 million reasons why you should call it that. And that's the $100 million that Sports Illustrated Tickets gave the organization to rename the stadium. Is it a little strange as a person that grew up with Sports Illustrated magazine, which doesn't really exist anymore? It's definitely odd. We have kind of an imaginary tip jar on our show. Anytime someone starts saying Red Bull Arena, we put an imaginary dollar in the jar. But this is what it is. The notion, however, is that an investment of this size should actually have a major impact on the first team. And of course, we haven't seen that yet. But this is what modern sports is like in 2025. So you just kind of go with it.
Yeah, I think it should trickle down. We're hoping,
it could trickle down. I'll say that.
So it's going to be hard to really talk about the season in general. Just 24 hours. You said that Red Bulls have been eliminated. But I guess let's sort of look back and sort of see what has gone right, or maybe even what could have gone right. What was your sort of expectation coming into the season?
Well, obviously, building off an MLS Cup appearance in 2024, you wanted to think that the team, which had such an incredible postseason run last year, would be able to capitalize on that momentum. The team added German Cameroonian Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting to the squad, and while he has some miles on the odometer, to say the least, I think the notion was, well, if New York can stay healthy, especially with a finisher of this guy's pedigree, that we should be fine. What I think people didn't necessarily realize, I mean, Choupo has done absolutely everything that he's been asked. He's gone 90 minutes 28 times this season in the league. He has 16 goals and 4 assists, which puts him up there in the top 20 or 30 in the league in terms of goal contributions. But unfortunately, the 2024 Comeback Player of the Year, Lewis Morgan, has played only 3 matches all year. First, the hip injury that was keeping him out, and then a thigh injury that prevented him from coming and returning to the squad. On top of that, Cam Harper who is a 23-year-old talent in his fourth season with the team and really starting to break out and creative in the final third. It runs as hard as get out. He also did his knee and is out for the year. So without those two other offensive weapons for New York, the attack became very focused, I think rightly, on both Emil Forsberg and Choupo-Moting. And there isn't a single player outside of those two that have more than 5 goal contributions across the entire 32 games the teams have played. On top of that, the defensive midfield, we saw Felipe Carvalho's loan not get extended. He was also in and out of the lineup a lot with injuries. He was the one that scored twice in the playoffs last year before missing both the Eastern Final and MLS Cup with an injury. And I think the New York felt that they really just couldn't move ahead with him given the fact that he was so injury prone. In his stead, Daniel Edelman and Peter Stroud kind of settled at the Sixes, and I think they're kind of a similar kind of player, and they really weren't getting a whole lot of forward play through the 6 positions. So, this was a team that is not a terrible team. I think they're 12, 13, and 9. They're just not 12, 13, and 7. They're just they're not consistent on the road. They have a very good home record. 10-3-3 in Harrison is as good a home record as you'll see. But on the road, they're 2-10-4. And as we all know, Jeff, like if you can't get close to 500 on the road, you're not gonna do much of anything. And their 2 road victories at DC United back in May, and then at Montreal just last 2 weeks ago. And those are the worst 2 teams in the East. And those are the only wins on the road. And you can't move forward in this league. You can't be a playoff team if you're unable to get things done away from home. And New York wasn't able to do it. And that's kind of the story of the season.
Yeah, I mean, also if you take a look at the season overall, regardless of home away, it did seem that the Red Bulls had trouble picking up consecutive wins.
Yep.
The unbeaten streak, I think the longest one that you had maybe was 4 games. It's
Sounds
a little
right.
hard to pull together a winning streak, but at the same time, you didn't have a losing streak longer than 2. So it felt like a maddeningly consistent momentum to the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. They're a mediocre team. They're 1 game under 500. They're not terrible. They are competitive. They had a couple of blowout wins, right? They beat LA Galaxy 7-0 earlier this year in a rematch of MLS Cup. They haven't gotten their rears handed to them too badly. They had a kind of a poor result at Miami. They had a run to the Open Cup quarterfinals where they took leads twice at Philly and were unable to hold those leads. It was just kind of a meh season for this team. And let's be honest, since the Shield era ended in 2018, right, when New York won their 3rd Shield in 6 years, it's been a lot of this 4th, 6th, 8th, 7th, kind of in this decent but not terrible place. And then they've had 1 postseason run in the last 15 years during this playoff streak. And this year, again, in the West, they'd be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And as we said off camera, it used to be 50 points was the mark of a very, very good season. In the East in 2025, 50 points is the bare minimum to make the postseason. And New York won't get there. So it's a strange, different feeling here. Red Bull fans are wondering where we go from here.
It feels like one of those seasons where the East is still stronger than the West.
Much so.
Much stronger.
Yep.
And to the point that we're also beating each other up. So the top of the table is not extremely high. You're not going to see any record set like Miami did last season.
No.
But you're also, like you said, you're not going to see a line that's 42, 44 to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep. So again, I think Red Bull fans, and we'll have an opportunity to speak with Sandro Schwartz tomorrow to really talk about what do you do with these last 2 games at home against Cincy, of course, and then next week, decision day at Columbus, which looks like a meaningful game for the Crew from a playoffs position standpoint. And this hasn't happened in so long, where New York has meaningless games at the end in October. I really, it's hard to force myself to remember back that far. As before we started our show, it was the last time that that New York failed to qualify.
And we tend to have like a nice late season meeting too. I
Yes, there
remember
usually
us.
is.
I remember us in 2023 when we did clinch the Shield and celebrate it. You guys beat the pants off of us
Right.
at home on that one.
Yes.
So we know how hungry the Red Bulls have been down the stretch. So it's kind of just like a bizarro world situation right now.
Yep, it certainly is, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, this game has a lot of meaning for you guys, and absolutely no meaning for
Mhm.
us whatsoever.
Maybe one of the things I'd like to maybe look at and see if you felt that the mediocrity was lurking under the surface with this team. Looking at their transfers over the past few months, you already know what I'm going to
Yeah.
address, the fact that there hasn't been any transfers. If you take a look at the slight motion that happened in the summer transfer market window, John McCarthy, goalkeeper from LA Galaxy of all the places, he feels like he's more of a backup now. Maybe it was a means to shed some salary from LA, and then Gustav
Bergeron.
Berggren,
Yeah.
coming in at center, middle midfield.
Hmm.
Really, the only two things that were made, and there was also the big time rumor that Timo Werner was going to join this team.
Yep.
Why didn't, I guess maybe grouping all those together, why didn't anything substantial happen during the deadline?
Well, let's take these in order. So, in the Open Cup quarterfinal loss to Philly, AJ Marcucci, who has been with the program for 5 years, RB2 goalkeeper, and have kind of moved up after Ryan Mara's retirement to be the full-time backup, did his ACL late in that game, stopping a shot, and that necessitated the Red Bulls to go out and get John McCarthy because Carlos Coronel's contract ends at the end of this year and there's no more options. So I guess he could be re-signed, but every sense I get is that Coronel will be playing somewhere else in 2026. So McCarthy will be the starting goalkeeper entering 2026 as Marcucci returns from injury. So Berggren is a solid 6 from Sweden. He has played, he's known to both obviously Emil Forsberg and Noah Ela, the other two Swedes on the team. He had some visa challenges, which took him 6 to 8 weeks to get here. And so he's just starting to break into the first team right now. So it's really kind of too soon to say exactly what we're getting with Berggren. Obviously, a European pro with a little more experience than either Daniel Edelman or Peter Stroud, the two homegrowns. In the case of Timo Werner, New York made a really big play to come and bring him in. He is sitting on the bench in Europe right now, and I believe he wanted $10 million to come to New York and play in MLS, which is more than Emil Forsberg is making. New York and I think the Red Bulls were offering, and this is confirmed, but I think they were offering 4 to 5 million. And at a certain point, the team wasn't able to make this deal done. I think there's still some hope that he's going to come in January. But the fact of the matter is there was not a plan B to add attacking depth to this team. And so the the program just had kind of a whiff during the summer transfer window. On top of that, Red Bull's front office refused to meet with the independent press to talk about it. They
Really?
Jochen Schneider, the head of sport, had a short private interview with the guys that do Red Bull Radio, who I love, but they're team employees. And so the tough questions they didn't face, maybe they'll face it now after the playoff run is over, and certainly after the season is over. But just kind of disappointing from the front office all around.
Do you feel that, I mean, considering not much motion was done, that positions were left unfilled in terms of who you could bring in to really
Third
help this
DP.
team out? Yeah. Third, I mean, Werner probably would have been that third DP, but are there any positions in general that you feel really needed to be addressed?
Well, again, I think the fact that both Lewis Morgan and Cam Harper were shelved with injuries meant that there was significantly less quality down the attacking wings. New York had elevated Mohamed Sofo from the Red Bull 2, and he was really kind of the surprise of the first half of the season with 5 goals, but he hasn't scored a goal, I think, since July. Just completely disappeared down the stretch. And so as a result, I mean, New York again got almost no play from the wings. Everything was centered to Forsberg and through to Chupo, and a bunch of penalties thrown in, and it made New York's attack seem somewhat one-dimensional, and it kind of was, because you didn't have that third attacking option that gave a defense, stretched the defense out. So yeah, so I think attacking wing was definitely called for, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the offseason with this team.
Do you feel that, I mean, considering you had talked about Sofo coming up, do you
Mhm.
feel that the academy still has a significant role within?
Yeah, absolutely. To be clear, he was a RB2 player, not an academy player, but yes, there's a healthy amount of talent that continues to come through the Red Bull Academy. Audrey Mehmeti is a central midfielder. Julian Hall, who scored against NYCFC, is a homegrown product and still a teenager. So yes, I think the Red Bulls will always be pulling from the 2 team and the academy. Rafa Mascara, who's the captain of the Panamanian under-20 team, made his pro debut, and he's actually in the under-20 World Cup right now, leading Panama. So yeah, I think that's always going to be a piece of it. What we saw over the last 2 years with Forsberg and Ed Choupo-Moting, Jeff, is a willingness to spend on 30-year-olds, because for 5 years, that's not what happened. And I think there's a happy medium here. You don't necessarily have to spend on 36-year-old European talent, and you don't have to rely exclusively on your 2 team and on your academy. There's that middle that I think the missing middle quality is what's hamstringing New York right now.
I really think that from our perspective, I think we would like to see more of an academic
Mm-hmm.
support system to come through our pipeline. Early in our season, Dado Valenzuela, big time presence. I think he might even be 3rd highest scoring on our team this season. And yet, when you're bringing in the likes of Brenner and all of this support that's come from Europe, you're starting to see the 30-year-olds take over.
Yep.
And it feels like that balance is something that I would like to see more of in the future. And I think you would like to see more of in Red Bulls as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you guys are second in the East, so are you complaining? I mean, yeah, you
Not yet. Not yet.
right. So I think this is working for you guys right now, and the trio that you have up top is phenomenal. So, and you're scoring a ton of goals. So I think that is the eternal challenge of what the Red Bulls are trying to figure out, and what the league is trying to figure out, is what is the right formula for homegrown talent developing, selling, or developing and not selling, becoming impact players on the local teams, versus buying the talent from overseas. I mean, that's every team in the world wrestles with that.
Let's look at the past week, so we can sort of build up to what this week might look like.
Sure.
Before I bring out what last week's starting 11 looked like for the Red Bulls, I do want to address maybe the elephant in the room. There was talk of Raheem Edwards yelling back at the crowd. Can you give us sort of a little bit of
what happened?
From your perspective?
Sure. So Raheem Edwards, first year wing defender for the Red Bulls, proud guy. It's been an adventure with him all year long. He's made some terrific plays. He's made some horrific plays. And as you can imagine, losing at home to your chief rival, emotions are incredibly raw. And as the lap was completed by the Red Bulls around the arena, albeit in a losing, from a losing position, he got down to the south end, which is where the supporters are, and got into a shouting match with one of the supporters groups. He / the team claimed that there were racial slurs thrown at him. Edwards is black. Torcida 96, which is the supporters group in question, unequivocally denied any racial words, epithets thrown at Edwards. They were obviously a lot of strong words because they were very upset with the team losing at home to NYCFC. Then today it came out from Torcida that they believe they've found video evidence of people from outside the supporters group that were in the area yelling homophobic slurs at
Oh,
Edwards.
boy.
So, pick your poison. It was an ugly moment built upon an ugly result. And, I'll be honest with you, Jeff, I don't know how many fans are going to be there this weekend. Like,
Mm.
I really don't. Look, there's a semblance of fans of this team or people that go to Red Bull games that really are not invested in the team, and for them, it's a night out and it's entertainment. Um, you may not see many people at all in the supporters end, because there are a lot of people that are really unhappy with the way this season has gone. And so, although the Hudson Derby last weekend was a sellout, 25,000 fans, I would be shocked if there were 15,000 in the house this weekend.
The Jersey Swap podcast is also sponsored by Beyond Exercise. Beyond Exercise is a local physical therapy and fitness business that helps people stay active and injury-free. In fact, they help with some of our local MLS Next Pro, and FCC Academy players with their health and performance needs. Check out their suite of services at gobeyondexercise.com. Well, let's at least take a look at the 11 that could
Yes,
be
let's
on
do
this.
that.
I mean, part of this because the Red Bulls have unfortunately faced the axe. Let's
Yeah.
call it. This starting 11 might not exactly be what you see on the pitch on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just for the people that are not visually seeing this, Choupo-Moting up front, Emil Forsberg right behind, Wiki Carmona, and Julian Hall on the sides. Uh, you're going to have to read out the rest of these.
Yeah,
names.
Ronald Donkor and Gustav Berggren are the sixes. Raheem Edwards, Tim Parker, Noah Ayala, and Kyle Duncan along the back line, and Carlos Cornell in goal. And again, as I said, Jeff, we're speaking with Sandra Schwartz tomorrow, and we'll have a much better idea of what we can expect. There are a couple of choices that Schwartz can do. He can choose to play the kids as much as he can and get them first team minutes. Cornell again has 2 games left on his contract. This has the possibility to be his final match at Red Bull Arena. I said it as as a member of the Red Bulls, so I would think he'd probably want to be there. You could substitute Dylan Nealis at right back. You could substitute Marcelo Morales, a young Chilean, at left back. And playing next to Ayla could be Parker, could be Sean Nealis, whose contract is also coming to an end, although there is an option there. It could be Alexander Hack, who was brought in this summer and really has not contributed in a meaningful way. The sixes could be Daniel Edelman and Peter Stroud, both homegrown players. Again, Wiki Carmona is playing on the right wing because they don't have another healthy player. Carmona has been a massive disappointment. He's been at Red Bulls for 6 years, since he was 17 years old. The Venezuelan, I think, has really missed Christian Cáceres, who used to play on this team, from his fellow country, and Carmona's development has stopped. He's contributed almost nothing to the team. He has, I think, a goal and an assist. It's an embarrassment. Hall is 17 years old. He may or may not play. Sofo may or may not play, but I expect Forsberg and Choupo-Moting to play simply because, we're paying them and they're pros and they want to model good behavior. And this is an opportunity to kind of show to the fan base that, while this season was a disappointment, you go and you play the games and you try your hardest.
Which is why I still don't sleep on the Red Bulls here. They're playing for pride. They're playing for their salary. They're playing to sort of show that they can be on this team next season. Looking at the Cincinnati side, I'm going to expect Brenner and Denke up top again. Evan Lauro, familiar name to some.
Yes, very much so.
He will likely play goalie. I really don't think that you're going to see Celentano be rushed into his spot.
Yeah.
Robinson, Hagelin, Engel sounds safe. You might see Matt Miazga if they want to give him 30 minutes to sort of test out his leg. Ender Echenike and Luca Orishano on the edges. Pavel Buka. Samuel Ojidi, who has been sort of a surprise starter for the past 2 games. He could play. I think you'll probably see maybe Obi Nwobodo come on for a few minutes to end the game, to see if his injured quad is up to speed. And of course, you have the MVP candidate Evander in the middle.
Yep.
Looking at this, is there anybody whose name is not Evander who you feel could definitely be the X factor on the Cincinnati side?
I mean, other than Denke, who has the other goal against them this year in the first game, I really, I like to think that my innate knowledge of everything happening at Cincinnati is where it is, but I'm not going to speak out of turn. I mean, this is Cincinnati will be successful, if the Red Bulls are unable to generate enough prideful play and take the game seriously. The first game in 16 years, first regular season game that means absolutely nothing to them. So we're in unfounded territory here for New York. I don't really have anything to add.
Okay, I like I said, I still think that we could see surprises here. I remember there were seasons when we were, trying to figure out our own reason of being after we had gotten our third straight spoon.
Right.
So these types of games are the ones that you play with pride. I mean,
for sure.
People could point at the first season, the Remember the 9 game against DC United when FC Cincinnati had 9 players because of 2 red cards, and they still held DC United to a 0-0 draw. So there is such a thing as pride late in the season. So I think as people that have experienced that, we shouldn't be looking past that.
For sure. For sure.
Okay. Let's sort of get to maybe realistic predictions. Maybe. I mean, it's hard to ask these questions if there isn't as much writing on it.
Yeah.
But, what do you see sort of an outcome for this? What is, maybe I should rephrase this.
Yeah.
What is the best outcome for Red Bulls?
Nobody gets hurt with a long-term injury. The fans don't throw things on the field. There's an inkling of interest from the crowd, and the cynicism does not overflow onto the field. I mean, I see this as a 3-1 Cincinnati win. I don't, unless, again, Forsberg and Choupo-Moting can motivate a team playing through the string at the end of a disappointing season to actually play with pride. They have the talent to compete, right? As we know. This is a team that has some decent wins this season, and they are usually strong at home. But again, we're in uncharted territory, so that's what I'll call it.
Yeah, I'll keep my prediction a little closer to my vest. I still think that Cincinnati has to win, just to be
able to keep up.
Has to keep up, not only keeping up to see if they can try to get that #1 seed and the Supporter Shield, but also to keep these teams behind them from advancing. Looking at it, Cincinnati could still unfortunately finish 6th in this entire weird table that we've got listed up there. So you really can't take your foot off the pedal here in this case.
Absolutely not. And we know, of course, the Union can win the Shield this weekend. But Cincinnati's got to be there in case they stumble in any way.
I think probably speaking, on behalf of maybe Red Bulls fans, you probably don't want to see Philadelphia win that.
No, we don't want Philadelphia to win anything, my guy. Not a thing.
Okay. Maybe just one last question to end this. And
sure.
It's a downer, unfortunately. Do you see Schwartz staying with this team?
Oh, yeah. Okay. He's on a 3-year contract. He'll be back next year. The team made MLS Cup last year. They were a Forsberg ball off the post or a uncalled penalty on Elias Manuel getting blown up in the box in injury time away from tying MLS Cup. He'll be back. His record in MLS is like 23, 22, and 21, which has been mediocre again.
That's the key word here.
But given the major injuries to their major attacking talents this year, and the proficiency of both Choupo and of Forsberg, I think he's back for one more year, and he'll finish his contract. And I think Jochen Schneider will keep his job as well. So
So hopefully, that they're able to bone the roster up a little bit and build it and get out of this mediocre.
yes,
Mode.
I think
Yeah.
a carefully worded email to Austria would help, Jeff. So I know you're writing that as we speak.
I'll see if I think I know a little German, but maybe not
Okay,
enough.
he's over there. Yeah, that'll gag.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, as despondent as it might sound, talking about this so late in the season. It's always great to talk with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my wife and I got the good fortune of going to see us play New York City FC up there. So maybe at some point we get to travel to Sports Illustrated Stadium and
Fantastic.
see what everything is like up there.
It's a great place. Come on out. You'll see a lot of similarities with TQL. So would love to have you.
Excellent. Where can we find you if we want to listen to more of your things, especially through social media?
Yeah, you can find us on just about every platform other than the one owned by that guy at Seeing Red NY. That's the handle for the show. Otherwise, you can find me at Mark Fishkin on the Blue Sky. And thanks so much for having me, Jeff. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Check out Seeing Red as well. There, I believe you guys are also on YouTube. So
We are indeed.
Excellent. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We've got only a few more of these left in the bin until the end of the 2025 season. If you want to check us out on all of our areas as well, go to our X account, our Blue Sky account right there. You can always support us. Check out CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support, become a Patreon. And if you want to check out our stuff, we're on Cincy Soccer Talk on all the social media stuff, and Apple, Spotify, any of those other podcast outfits as well. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Mr. Mark Fishkin, on behalf of all the fans out there that love the beautiful game, keep your kit clean, and we'll follow you for another 90 minutes. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.